blessings on the way. My blessings on the way.
And it's mine.
It's mine, all mine. Everything I need.
That it's mine.
It's mine, all mine. It's harvest time. Sometimes I am burn on, and shoot, 'cause I'm on my way home. Said, oh Lord, 'cause we are going to a city where we won't have to cry. To say goodbye no more. And I'm gonna rest in peace forever. 'Cause when my soul gets home, I'm singing Mary, oh Mary, don't you weep. Tell Martha not to mourn. Said I'm singing Mary, oh Mary, don't you weep. I tell Martha not to mourn. Tell Martha don't you mourn. Pharaoh's army drowned in the Red Sea. I'm singing Mary, oh Mary, don't you weep. Tell Martha not to mourn. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Tell Martha not to mourn. Tell Martha not to mourn. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Tell Martha not to mourn. Tell Martha not to mourn. Pharaoh's army down in the Red Sea. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Mother, not to mourn. Mother, don't you mourn. If I could, that I would. I surely would. Say, Moses stood. You know that Pharaoh's army. I don't know that it drowned in the Red Sea. Singing, baby. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Singing Mary, oh Mary, don't you weep. We're singing Mary, oh Mary, don't you weep. Said I'm singing Mary, oh Mary, don't you weep. Oh Mary, don't you weep. Oh Mary, don't you weep. I don't think that you. Oh Mary, don't you weep. I got a cold Mary just a little bit. Oh Mary, don't you weep. Oh Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Well, I'm singing Mary. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, I'm singing Mary. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Well, I'm singing Mary. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Well, I'm singing Mary. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. I'm singing Mary. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Well, I'm singing Mary. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. I'm singing Mary. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Well, I'm singing Mary. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. You know, oh, Mary, don't you weep. I'm drown in the sea. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Gotta come, Mary, gotta come, Mary, Oh, Mary, don't you weep.
Can you know that was all me?
Pharaoh's army
know that it drowned
down in the Red Sea.
Sing it, man.
Oh, Mary, don't you
tell mother not to mourn.
tell Martha not to mourn.
Do 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 do. I got sunshine on a cloudy day. When it's cold outside, I've got the month of May. Well,
I guess you say what can make me feel this way.
Said my girl,
My girl,
my girl,
talking
oh,
about
my girl,
my girl.
I've got so much honey, the bees of me. I got a sweeter song, baby, than the birds and the trees. Well,
I guess you say what can make me feel this way.
Said my girl,
My girl,
talking about my girl,
talking about my
I got sunshine on a cloudy day. I even got the month of May, my girl, my girl, whoa, my girl. Sorry I left you, I left you crying. Since you've been gone, girl, I've been all alone. Cause all of my tears, they left me drowning. Please, baby, I'm begging for you to see, yeah. Oh,
tonight. Let's start a love again. Tonight, we could be more than just friends.
Don't you know
the sun is going down?
So baby, just stay
for a little while.
So here we are, just me and you, thinking of other things that we used to do. Tonight,
lady,
yours and mine. Let's try again to put our trust on the line.
Tonight, let's start a love again. Tonight, we could be more than just friends. The sun is going down. Stay for a little while. Forget about yesterday, because I want you so bad. Make a little love to me like you never had.
Don't you know
the sun is going down? Stay for a little while. Forget about yesterday, because I want you so bad. Make a little love to me like you never had. The sun is going down. Stay for a little come together. Hey, and you know that I'm right. Why do you play with my heart? Why do you play with my mind? Well, said we be forever. Hey, and said it never die. Well, how could you love me and leave me and never say goodbye?
Well, I can't sleep at night without doing you tight. Girl, it's something I try. I just break down and cry. A pain in my head, no, I'd rather be dead. Spinning and around and around. 'Cause although we come to the end of the road, still I can't let go. It's unnatural. You belong to me, I belong to you. We come to the end of the road, still I can't let go. It's unnatural. You belong to me, I belong to you.
And girl, I know you really, really love me, and you just don't realize,
'Cause you've never been there before.
It's only your first time. Well, maybe I'll forgive you, babe. Hey, or maybe you will try. We should be happy together forever, you and I.
You love me and you love me before. This time I want you to love me much more. This time instead, just come to my bed, and baby, just don't let me down. And although we go to the end of the road, still I can't let go. It's unnatural. You belong to me, I belong to you. Although we go, I don't know what I'm gonna do. We come to the end of the road, still I can't let go. It's unnatural. You belong to me, I belong to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Once in a generation, an opportunity comes to Boston like the one before us today. Something never before seen that redraws the boundaries, that changes our perception of what's truly possible and reminds us all how much we have to gain when we think bold, think big, think beyond. Winthrop Center, an elevated vision beyond glass and steel, designed to achieve a building's highest possible purpose for the world we live in today. This is where MP Boston and city leaders have come together to continue their unparalleled 2 decades plus commitment to downtown by creating a public-private partnership that will lay the groundwork for a transformed Boston. Winthrop Center is a total reimagining of how a single structure in the right place at the right time can create prosperity and vitality that can be not just felt, but measured far into the future, and foster a sense of civic pride and ownership for all Bostonians. So, what will this transformation look like? Building on more than $163 million by MP Boston, Thinking Beyond will bring unprecedented new resources to improve Boston Common and Franklin Park. It will bring redeveloped public housing to South Boston's Old Colony East Boston's Orient Heights. The long-awaited Emerald Necklace completion, and construction of new, affordable housing in Chinatown. Not to mention an unparalleled focus on workforce diversity in the more than 2,500 new construction jobs that will be created, which will set a new standard for inclusion in Boston going forward. There will also be 2,700 new permanent jobs as a direct result of Winthrop Center's rise in the heart of downtown. Finally, MP Boston has gone beyond to rethink and reimagine Winthrop Center from a global perspective by fully integrating transformational design in ways that have never been done before. In the area of sustainability, Winthrop Center will not only achieve LEED Platinum, but become the largest passive house office project in the world, using 65% less energy than the Boston average and setting a new efficiency standard for the modern office building. For wellness, Winthrop Center's WELL Gold certification will mean a total integration of superior air quality, unprecedented thermal comfort, world-class wellness facilities, and access to public transit just steps away. For social engagement, Winthrop Center will deliver next-generation adaptive office space, state-of-the-art collaborative workspaces, common areas, and an unprecedented amenity floor for tenants and residents. And to give every citizen of Boston a reason to come to Winthrop Center again and again, the Great Hall will become the city's new hub, a grand public concourse and conduit to Winthrop Square Park, where the physical realm will flow effortlessly into the natural world. Finally, as a technology pioneer, Winthrop Center will achieve Wired Platinum certification, the highest possible rating for infrastructure and internet connectivity and smart system technology. In partnership with the team of MIT professors behind the acclaimed Urban Metabolism Study, Winthrop Center will be powered by ConnexIQ, a first-of-its-kind platform that will allow users to engage with the building on a deep and personal level, transforming how they live, breathe, work, stay well, and stay connected in a 21st century environment. This is a new day, a new blueprint for private and public partnership, a new moment to rediscover how what we build can redefine how we all live. A project for all of Boston that will extend beyond downtown for generations to come. Winthrop Center. Beyond anything Boston has ever seen. Think beyond.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Director of the Boston Planning and Development Agency, Brian Golden.
Thank you very much, and welcome all to this magnificent evening and this magnificent event. Before I get started, I'd like to just shout out to East Boston's Price Boys, who entertained us this evening. So Robert Jr., Jason, Derek, Eric, and Christopher, they moved to Boston from North Carolina in 2012. They began singing at MBTA stations to help their mom and dad pay the bills. Now they're performing at Fenway Park for the governor, for the mayor, at a recent NAACP gathering, and the list goes on. Thank you, gentlemen, for starting our evening so beautifully. I am, along with my colleagues at the Boston Planning and Development Agency and those throughout City Hall, so proud to be here today to celebrate the groundbreaking of what will be known as Winthrop Center. We're not only celebrating what will be a dynamic mixed-use tower that will create thousands of new jobs and further activate our downtown, but a truly once-in-a-generation project that will allow the city of Boston to make enormous and significant investments in our neighborhoods and in our people. We often say at City Hall that new development brings positive benefits to our residents, whether or not they ever step through the door of these new buildings. But there is no development that embodies that sentiment like Winthrop Center does. This sale of what was a dilapidated garage, generating no revenue for the city of Boston and its people, will result in over $160 million back to the residents of this city. And it will create needed affordable housing downtown. The comprehensive and public community process that this project underwent created a much better project with stronger benefits for the neighborhoods and beyond. I thank everyone here who was and will continue to be involved in the future of Winthrop Center. Now, I'd like to introduce our partner in this important endeavor. Millennium Partners responded to the opportunity to transform this site with a proposal that does so much for so many. They had a compelling proposal and a track record here in Boston of doing big things in complicated circumstances. Thank you to the team, in particular Joe Larkin and Kathy McNeil, who we worked with daily for months. Thanks to the team at Millennium for responding to our request. And it's now my pleasure to introduce the founder of Millennium Partners, Mr. Chris Jeffries.
Thank you, Brian. Mayor. 20 years ago to this year, we had a groundbreaking down the road a few blocks for the Ritz-Carlton development that we started back then. And since that time, we've been slowly moving down Washington Street over to Filene's and now ending up here at Winthrop Square. And all during that period of time, we've been building to one great, fantastic finality. One building that would allow us to have the opportunity to take everything that we've learned, everything that we know about Boston, everything that Boston has become, and put it into one building. Now, there's been a long time since there's been a great new office building built in the financial district. And the combination of that office building that we're going to build with the apartment house really allows us to do something, as you saw in the video, that doesn't exist in Boston and is world class. This building, when completed, will compete with any other building that exists throughout not only the country, but in other world capitals. And that, after all, is one of the things that we believe about Boston. You know, we've invested over $4 billion here over the last 20 years. And we believe that Boston, even though it's smaller, is a great world capital. And to us, it's where we've focused most of our attention during this period of time. And our team, which is led by Joe and Kathy, always has, always is attempting to achieve greatness. That's what we try to do in everything that we've done in the past. And in this case, I fully believe that we've pulled it off. What's nice about this building is that the proceeds of buying and paying the $163 million goes to the city. And all the various pieces that you know, we put together, and as you saw also from the video where the funds have been going at Mayor Walsh's direction. And it just makes us feel great about what we're able to do for the city of Boston and how we're able to really incorporate ourselves into this public-private partnership that's going to result in this fantastic building. Thank yous. Thank yous. In order of priority, no question, Mayor Walsh. This would have not happened without him. Our involvement on this site was about 2.5 years. There were definitely points along the way that I wondered if we would ever be standing here tonight. But the mayor always remained steadfast. He saw the vision, not only the paycheck that we were going to give him, but he saw the vision as well, and never once gave up on moving the ball forward, even though that we had to go through some, as most of you know, some rather challenging and unique process in order to get complete. And by the way, that process is okay. I'd rather not have to try to change a state law next time that we build a building, but the process of everybody having an opinion and the collaboration and the building that comes out of it, it's better because of the last 2.5 years. And we don't mind it. It's taxing, it's frustrating at times, but we do feel like it ends up making a better product, and it makes everybody in Boston feel like they're more a part of what this building will become. Brian Golden and his team, been very easy to sit back and say, ooh, a lot of controversy here. This is, you know, it required a stand. It required to have conviction about where you wanted to be. And Brian, I thank you for that. You've been an integral part of this. Boston City Council. I saw Bill Lenahan here tonight, who started us out, was the very first motion to get us going. And I thank all of the, Bill, both the city council as well as the state legislatures. It would have been easy to stop along the way and succumb to the obstacles, but no one on the public side did. Everyone saw the greater vision. Everyone saw the greater good. And eventually, although it took a little bit longer than we all wanted it to, eventually we've ended up to where we are here today. I'd like to thank Gary Handel, who's in the audience. Gary is the principal of GIHA, or Gary Handel Associates. The building that you saw up here, the building that just sits over here, all the buildings we've done, these are all designs that are a collaboration between Gary, his team, and myself. And I have never worked so hard on a building. I have more time, as my team can attest, invested in this building than I do in any building that I've ever built, because we want this one to be very, very special. Big spotlight has been shining on us ever since we undertook and the bid, and we were selected by the city, and we intend to fulfill those dreams and those visions. There's nothing that you've seen on our video tonight that we don't intend to deliver to the city. And finally, the community. There was so much community support. Bill Moran and his mentors, there's Bill, and all of the support that the community gave us in going through this process. I know that we've made you all a lot of promises along the way about how we're going to engage with you. And I guarantee you that Mr. Larkin will meet every one of those promises that he's made to you. And so with that, everyone, I must tell you how truly, truly happy and pleased I am that we've been given the opportunity to build this building by the City of Boston and Mayor Walsh. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Mayor Walsh's vision of the possibilities that could result from the sale of the Winthrop Square garage have brought us here this evening. And it's because early in his first term, the mayor directed those of us on his staff, the Boston Planning and Development Agency, a variety of our colleagues in other city agencies, to focus on unused or underutilized properties that were publicly owned. Simply put, he insisted that publicly owned property must do good things for the public that owned it. Underutilized property must be tapped to provide housing, open space, economic vitality wherever possible. That was an early and consistent direction from the time he became mayor in 2014. So this focus by Mayor Walsh is yielding a new reality here in Winthrop Square. A decaying garage will now help catalyze the creation of a residential neighborhood in the financial district, the last part of the city without a significant residential component. It will create new affordable units in downtown Boston, thousands of jobs in building the project, and then those who occupy the commercial space. It will provide resources for major housing improvements in multiple neighborhoods and historic investments that will pay dividends for generations in Boston Common and Franklin Park. It's exciting, and as Mayor Walsh demanded, it's a project that will truly serve all Bostonians in all their diversity. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce Mayor Marty Walsh.
Thank you very much, Brian. And let me just start by thanking Brian and the staff at the Boston Planning and Development Agency, who did an incredible job, not just here, but every day in the city of Boston, and thinking about building and moving Boston forward. So thank you, Brian, and thank you to your entire team that's here today. I want to thank Chris Jeffries at Millennium. He's become a friend. I knew that he filled the hole down the street many, many years ago when there was a hole in the heart of our city, and a lot of written about it and a lot talked about it. And he came in and built a magnificent tower. And what he's filling here is another hole in our city that was once a garage. That the money that was used, that was taken in from that garage for parking, was put into the Boston Housing Authority and helped stabilize for many, many years the Boston Housing Authority. It got shut down somewhere around 2007. It got condemned after that. And in 2014, my very first budget, we put $2 million in the bank to knock down the garage and put a fence around the site. And we weren't really sure what was going to happen, and we had this long community process, which I'll talk about in a minute. But Chris Jeffries and his team were one of the people that stepped up to the plate and put forth an incredible opportunity here for the city of Boston. And everything you saw in the video was not part of the conversation per se when I had the meeting. And you think about how this project has grown since that time. And Chris, I want to thank you and your entire team, professional, first class, and great people. I also just want to take a moment. I know it's cold, so I won't go too long because half of what I said was going to say has already been said, so I won't bore you on that. But I want to thank City Council Eddie Flynn, who's here with us today. Eddie succeeded Bill Lenahan. Thank you, Eddie, for what you've done and what you do. Cares about the city. State Representative Russell Holmes, another person who cares about the city. He represented the district next to me when I was a state rep, but he understands the importance of what happens in Winthrop Square affects what happens in Hyde Park. What happens in Hyde Park affects what happens in downtown Boston. So I want to thank you, Representative, for being here as well. I want to thank Billy Lenahan because he truly was a partner in this project with me from the very beginning. And he said, how do we move forward? And we talked about what the benefits in this project would be to the city of Boston. And thank you, Billy, for that. I want to thank Brian Doherty, the head of the Boston Building Trades, who is another great champion and they run a great apprentice program in the program called Building Pathways, which the kids will be working in this project. I want to thank Harry Brett from Local 12 Plumbers Union. Thank you, Harry, for being here as well. And I could thank so many other people. There's one other person I want to thank. I want to thank the company that's building this building, Suffolk Construction. Not just because they're a builder, but because anytime anyone picks up the phone, and I was saying this to Representative Holmes a minute ago, probably one of the most generous people in the country is right here in the city of Boston, and it's Suffolk Construction, and in particular, it's John Fish. So I want to thank John Fish for everything that he does in our city. And I know he's excited about building this building, so that's great. As I said, 3 years ago, we began a process, a transparent process to sell city-owned property. We worked very closely with the city council. We worked very closely with the community. We worked very closely with the state representatives and the state senators. We did have a lot of some bumps in the road for various different reasons. But our goal was to make sure that we get the best project we could for the city of Boston, and more importantly, the best deal for the people of Boston. And that's what we've done in more ways than one. You've already seen the video, and you know that this project is transformative in our city. It's going to create beautiful public spaces. It's going to create affordable housing, has been mentioned several times. Permanent jobs, sustainability, national model, tech, everything that you can imagine in a building. It's right here in this neighborhood. We heard a lot about what this project, the projects is going to benefit, but I just want to give you a little snapshot of what this project does when built. $15 million a year in tax revenue for the city of Boston. Proceeds from this sale of $160 million are going to go into $28 million into revitalizing Boston Common. Probably the first time it's ever been fully revitalized in the history since it's been built. And Boston Common is our first public park in the United States of America. $28 million into Franklin Park. What we were doing in Franklin Park is that we were putting $600,000 and $700,000 and $1 million in the budget to do patches of roadway around the park. And we didn't have a plan, and we're saying by the time 15 years from now, we would have had the pathway around the park done with all the investments we were making just kind of piecemeal because we didn't have the investment. $28 million from the sale of this building is going to go into Franklin Park to revitalize Franklin Park. $11 million. There's been a lot of discussion about the Emerald Necklace and how it's never been closed, a system of parks connecting people of our city to each other. $11 million of this, the proceeds from this sale, right off the bat, are going to go towards the Emerald Necklace to finally close the Emerald Necklace, something that Olmsted had a vision of in our city. And that will be happening because of the sale of this project. We're putting $5 million into the Rose Kennedy Greenway to be able to have an endowment set up so the Rose Kennedy Greenway can begin become the park that's self-sufficient. And moving forward, we bury the central artery, we put it underground. We have a beautiful park connecting our community. Now we're working towards how do we make sure that park is going to be beautiful for the rest of the time. And we've done that, helping them here. Housing, we don't have a federal partner. We haven't made investments in our housing. This garage here allowed us to raise a few $1 million a year to go into the Boston Housing Authority to kind of keep the wheels running. There's 2 developments going on in Boston right now. One is in South Boston, the Old Colony Housing Development. That is not complete. And the other one is Orient Heights Housing Development in East Boston, which is not complete. We're going to put $25 million of the sale of this into South Boston, into Old Colony, and $10 million into East Boston so we can move to complete those 2 projects. So the people that live there aren't looking out the window seeing somebody living in a brand new apartment across the street and them living in a building that was built in World War II. That's what this project does. That's what opportunities like this can happen. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This project set the tone for how we want to continue to move in the city of Boston. I want to thank everyone who got us to this point. I also want to just one more thank you. And Brian, we whispered in our ear. There was a law put in place in the '80s that you couldn't cast a shadow on Boston Common. And there was this thing called the shadow bank. It was created where every time a project came in, you had to go into the shadow bank and you literally had to do studies and to see if how much shadow was left and how much shadow was in the bank. And what we were able to do here is we were able to go back to the legislature and get the approval to be able to use the shadow or the remainder of the shadow. Actually, it wasn't the whole remainder of the shadow, but in the shadow bank, go back and look at the shadow bank. And we eliminated the shadow bank. So now not only are we investing 25 plus other into Boston Common, we've eliminated the shadow bank, which means from this point on, we've preserved Boston Common from shadows. So it's important for us to remember that, and how do we continue to move forward? That doesn't mean we can't build in Boston. What that means is builders and designers have to be creative, and how are they able to build buildings within the shadows that are already cast on the common? Those are the things that we're able to do here in this project. So again, I want to thank many of you. I want to thank Millennium Partners. I want to thank Brian Golden and his staff. I want to thank the City Council, who took several votes on this. I want to thank the State Legislature, who took votes on this. I want to thank the Governor. I want to thank the Parks Department, the Boston Housing Authority. And finally, I want to thank the many, many community members and organizations that were active in this project, that pushed us, that pulled us, that made sure that if this project would be complete, that it truly would be a project that would be an incredible project for the entire city of Boston. So all of the community members that are here today, whether you're a civic association member or whether you're an activist or whether you come from a friends group, if you're friends of Public Gardens, if you're from the Emerald Necklace, if you're from the Greenway, I want to thank you. I want to thank you because you made this project better. Now, I'm done. Enjoy the night. Go Red Sox.
So finally, a bit of spectacle to celebrate this important project and the benefits it brings to all Bostonians.
Five, four, three, two, one.